Alrighty, we are doing episode 3 of my favorite series on this channel, which is Read It or Unhaul It. So here's the rules. I pick out a book from all the little scraps of paper I have in here. The colors don't matter. If I pick it out, I have to read it by the end of January or I have to get rid of it. I am going to change up the rules just this once. I am going to give myself one veto. I have a lot of other books that I really want to get to this month, and so adding 3 more books on top of that is going to be a lot, which is why I'm giving myself one veto in case something gets pulled that I just really don't want to read. I am so excited. I cannot wait, and I've bought so many books recently, and I need to start reading them. My TBR shelf is overflowing and I need to get through them. So let's go ahead and pick our first book. Alrighty, first pick. Let's see what we get. Oh my gosh. The options are endless. Let's see. Let's go with this one, Another Star. Can't spell treason without T. Oh my goodness. This is a mystery, cozy fantasy about 2 people who are wanting to just have an easy life running a bookshop, and they run into some mystery that they have to solve. So fun. I'm excited for this one. Okay, so this one doesn't have an audiobook. So because it doesn't have an audiobook, I think I'm going to use my veto for this one. I'm going to pick another book and see what it is. And then maybe between the 2, I can figure out which one I want to go with. So with that said, we're using my veto. And let's see what we get. A green one. We haven't gotten a green one yet. Let's see. The Way Back Home. One moment. Our first poetry of a Read It or Unhaul. We finally picked a poetry. Okay. I am going to keep my veto and I'm going to put this back on the shelf, and we're going to go with The Way Back Home by Courtney Pepperneal. This is another poetry collection. I have read poetry from this author before, so I am very much looking forward to this, and I think it's going to turn out good. All right, I'm glad I used one veto. Hopefully that's not too much cheating for anyone out there, but let me know down in the comments below if you think I should get a veto with these videos or if I should just deal with whatever gets chosen. Alrighty, I finished The Way Back Home by Courtney Pepperneal. This is going to be a 3-star for me. I am glad I read it. It is the 31st of January, so I don't know where this book falls within the editing of this video, but I definitely cut it close there, and I did not want to unhaul it, which I've had a couple people ask what unhaul means, and it just means that I either have to read it or I have to get rid of it. So whether that's selling it or throwing it in the trash or giving it to a friend, I can't own it anymore. I either have to read it or it's not owned by me. So that's what unhaul is. But so I definitely didn't want to unhaul this, which is why I definitely pushed through and made it happen by the end of January. And 3 stars was, I mean, it's just average. There was one of the sections in here was about love, and that part I gave 4.5 stars. And there were some other sections I gave 2 stars or 2.5. So it ended up averaging out to a 3-star rating. This poetry collection hit on recovering from loss and rebuilding and finding your way back home. There were some parts that were talking about the pandemic, COVID happening, and how that really impacted her life and her mental state during that time. And as she and everyone else in the world was kind of getting back to normal, which was an interesting thing to read. But a lot of the stuff just felt very, I don't know that common sense is the right word, but it just felt like there was a lot of poems about life's meaning, and it just felt more common, well-known things, and I guess it just wasn't as impactful for me. So that kind of sucks, but I still give it 3 stars. I still had a good enough time reading it that I didn't want to DNF it. I did not want to unhaul it, so I'm glad I finished it. Hopefully the next poetry will be better. Alrighty, pick number 2. Let's see what it's gonna be. Oh, I got 2. Here's what it is. What is it gonna be? Winter Roses After Fall. I have read this one, and I read this in November, I think. So jump over to that video if you want to see what I feel about that one. All right, let's pick another one. Alrighty, same color keeps popping up. To Steal a Bride. I just got this one at Christmas, and I am so excited to jump into this. Here it is. My aunt got me this, so shout out to her. This is a dark romance I am super excited to jump into, so what a great choice. Fantastic. I love to see it. I am loving this so far. I am 70% of the way through, and I've been just eating it up. I meant to come update you sooner, but I don't know, I just couldn't stop reading over the past few days, and then I just kind of got busy, so I needed to come talk to you before I finish this. I am on page 222, and yeah, I think that's at like the 70% mark, and this has been great. I expected this to be more of a dark romance than a fantasy romance, but this is definitely a romantasy, which is fantasy romance. And if you don't know what the difference is, so a fantasy romance is a fantasy story that is also heavy on romance. So there is a fantasy plot line and there is a big romance element added to the story. That's what fantasy romance is. Whereas dark romance is a romance story that involves a lot of romance, a lot of spice, and usually not that much plot. So this is definitely more fantasy romance, which I love. And I'd say fantasy romance is probably my top genre. I love. It's always a good time. But anyway, so this one is about this girl who is a human, and there is other mythical creatures in this world. So we've got elves, trolls, giants, mythical creatures, and some other stuff that you come across. But she is, as a human, they are definitely the weakest species of this world. And so they, humans, are enslaved to the different mythical creatures. So the giants are enslaving the humans to do their like manual labor. And if the humans die or get killed and like don't survive, they've got plenty more humans to repopulate their workforce. So they are treated very bad. And our main character, Estella, she is going on this mission with the giants because the giants are going to this trade with the trolls. And Estella and other slaves are there, doing the manual labor of carrying the carts and all the goods that they're going to trade. And when she is assisting the giants make this trade with the trolls, the king of the trolls feels the mating bond snap in place between him and our main character, Estella. And so now we have the dual POV, so dual perspective of some chapters are in his perspective and some are in hers, which I love. And he is essentially being like, okay, this is my mate. How do I save her from these giants and save these other humans without starting a war? Because he's not allowed to just go kill all the giants because they have this peace treaty in place, and he doesn't want to sacrifice, or he doesn't want to put his entire people in jeopardy over this one girl, but also this is his mate, so he's having a lot of conflict. Well, she hates the giants. She's trying to get away from the giants and, be free, but then also hates the trolls because to her and what she's been told her entire life, the trolls are just as evil as the giants, and everyone hates humans. So she's like, I'm not safe anywhere. So she's not trusting of any of them, even though our main character, Teo, is trying to get her on his side. And there's just a lot of drama with that. Some stuff happens, some people are fighting, and then it just kicks off from there. That probably all of that happens within maybe the first couple chapters. And now we are going through the plot of different stuff happening with her life, them getting to know each other, a potential war happening or not happening, and trying to keep the peace. And it's been so good, and I can't wait to keep going with this book. I will hopefully finish this sometime this week. What a good pick. I also wanted to mention that I am using a new microphone on my camera. I've got just a simple digital camera, but I've been told by a couple people that sometimes my audio is not the best. So I've gotten this microphone. So let me know if you feel like the audio for this is a lot better. I'm using the Deity Microphone V-Mic D4 Mini. I got it off Amazon, and as an Amazon associate, I'll put the link down below for the microphone and for all books that I talk about in this video. And as an Amazon associate, I do earn from any qualifying purchases, to be fully transparent. So in case you're interested in any of that. But yeah, let me know if you think that this mic makes the audio quality a lot better. Alright, I finished To Steal a Bride by Daniela A. Mira, and I am so happy to say that I gave this a 4.5 stars. So on Goodreads, I will be rounding it up to the 5 stars, but on Fable, I'll be keeping it at that 4.5. I really wanted to give this a 5-star just outright, but this book isn't perfect, so that's why I had to do the 4.5. What made it not perfect is the writing. I don't need the writing to be perfect to love a book, which is why this got such a high rating, but there was definitely some grammar errors in this book. Like, for instance, there would be a sentence where it would say, they went to the store, but then store would be twice, so they'd be like, they went to the store. And so it's easy stuff that you could just ignore, but it did happen, not a lot, but it did happen quite a bit throughout the book. Because of that, it's not perfect. But ignoring all of that, I really enjoyed this. It definitely felt very different from the other fantasy books I've been reading recently. It definitely had a different storyline and different creatures than I've seen in other fantasy books. There was also different magic systems, and there was a lot of emphasis on crystals and the magic that comes with these crystals and stones, which was really fun to read. We had a lot of character development of our female main character. We had a lot of development of the relationship between our female main character and our male main character. And so that was good. At the end of the book, it wasn't a plot twist. It was, and I wouldn't say it was like this massive cliffhanger. It's more of just the book set up the story for the second one in the duology, which makes you want to read it. The second book is To Ignite a Flame, and I'm supposed to be on a book buying ban, mostly just because my bookshelf over there is very full. But I loved this and I really want to keep going like sooner than later. So I may or may not have bought the second one. And I just really enjoyed this. And it was not perfect, but to me, it kept me entertained. It kept me turning the page. I did not want to put this down. I was very intrigued the whole time. I liked the relationship between our two main characters. I liked the world building. I liked the cliffhanger, and I definitely want to continue in the series. I know that this is a duology, and it also has other standalone and other duologies about other characters in this story, so I'm definitely intrigued to follow along for those stories as well. So I'm definitely very much a part of this series and will definitely continue. But yeah, it was a great time, and I would definitely suggest this book for anyone who likes fantasy novels. All right, last pick of the month. What is it going to be? So far, we have a couple books that don't have audiobooks. So let's hope that we get an audiobook here. Let's go down to the bottom. Let's see. Same color. Let's see what it is. The Cruel Prince. I also just got that one for Christmas. I can't believe I got two books that I just got for Christmas out of Read It or Unhaul. Here it is, The Cruel Prince. I have only heard good things about this, and I guess I'm jumping into it. I'm excited for this one. I hate this. I want to like this so bad. I am 170 freaking pages into this book. Well, for one, I didn't know that this was young adult. I thought, and maybe I'm getting this confused with another book, so maybe this is a me problem and not a book problem, but I thought that this was adult, had spice in it, and all of that. But at least 170 pages in, it's very young adult, and there's no spice in sight. This book follows our main character, Jude, and she is a human who, upon circumstances, she has to go live in the fairy world. Well, the fairies don't like humans, and so they are not happy about her living in their world. Well, it's not up to them, it's not up to her. She's there and she has to stay. So she is going to school in the fairylands and she is getting bullied and by the prince. And they're just going at it. She's being mean to him, he's being mean to her. They're fighting constantly, doing very mean things to each other. There's some other plot points of her kind of trying to discover herself and be useful in the fairy world. And it is just not fun. I'm pretty sure on the back, it pretty much implies that Jude and this prince are going to end up together. But I just don't know how that would be possible. They clearly hate each other. He's done terrible things to her that I can't see how later on they're just going to be in love. And I don't know, she's kind of talking to this other guy right now and she's kind of going to this party and I just don't want to read it. If I bought myself this book, I would have DNF'd it already and unhauled it. But because it was a Christmas gift, I just feel so terrible getting rid of a book that I literally just got from someone. And my parents got me this, so I did talk to my mom about it, and she was like, just unhaul it. Like if you're not enjoying it, like she was like, you read so much, so if you're not enjoying it, like clearly it's not a good book. I don't know. I mean, plenty of other people like it, and I kind of looked at some of the reviews, and I'm definitely not the majority opinion on this. So I'm not really sure what I'm missing here. The only review I saw was from Lindsay from Booked and Busy, or She is Booked and Busy. And she was saying that she was kind of bored throughout the whole book too, until kind of the last four chapters that made her intrigued for. And this is a trilogy, so she's like, I'm going to continue the trilogy because I've been intrigued, but I don't want to read this entire book just to be intrigued by the last four chapters. And even then, I don't know. I'm going to unhaul it. I just really don't want to read it, and it's been putting me in a reading slump. Like I started this at the beginning of the month. It's the 16th now, and it really put me in a reading slump. And if you don't know what a reading slump is when I find it's when you start reading something you're not enjoying. It ends up making you in this mood of like not wanting to read. So then you kind of get into this slump of not reading anything because you're not enjoying what you're reading, so that's what a reading slump is. It's different than a book hangover. My friend was saying that she was thinking a book hangover and a reading slump were the same thing. No. Reading slump is when you're not wanting to read and you're not getting any books read. And a book hangover is when you finish a book and it's so good you don't want to move past that world because you're like you just want to live in it, and it's just like, and then you get a hangover because it was so good and you don't want to move on to anything else, you just want to be in the world of that. And so that's what the difference of those two are. But this has only put me in a reading slump, and I'm so sorry, Mom. I can't do it. I need to unhaul it. It's not working for me. I'm taking out the bookmark and it's gonna get unhauled. Alrighty, there we have it. Another completed read it or unhaul. I had two reads and one unhaul. The Cruel Prince I have actually already unhauled. I have gotten it out of my house, okay? If you can't tell from the previous clips, I do not like that book. But I did finish these two. We had a 4.5 star and a 3 star, so ultimately I had a great time and can't wait to do this again in another month. And I hope you enjoyed. It is now February 1st, which is my birthday. I am officially 25 years old, so my brain is fully developed. So from here on out, I can only make smart decisions, and all my dumb decisions are in the past, right? That's exactly how life works. And speaking of my birthday, shout out to Starbucks and Smoothie King for giving free coupons for birthdays, because I always drive around and go get all the free stuff for your birthday. I think last year Krispy Kreme gave out an entire dozen box of donuts for free when it's your birthday, and I love it. So I plan to go to Bath and Body Works, Panda Express, and Cinnabon to go get more free stuff later today. But for now, I hope all of you have a great February, and I hope that you had a great January reading month, and can't wait to film my entire January wrap up. Thanks for watching. Bye.